Welcome to the Sunday, January 12th, 2025 edition of Weather to Watch. Well, I'm watching a lot of weather. Still a pretty active weather pattern across the U.S. I don't see a huge snowstorm. We'll talk about the possibilities. There are various systems floating around, but we have lake effect snows that are scheduled to pick up again on Lakes Erie and Ontario, and also through the other Great Lakes as well, but those two always get the most attention. Fire weather is still a concern in Southern California. We'll take a look at what's being advised out there. A soaking in the southeast is something we can look for about the next 7 days or so. Cold to warm to cold. And is there another winter storm brewing on the horizon? I'll investigate that as well. We'll take a look at the visible satellite loop here today, and it's a pretty interesting loop. We still have offshore flow across almost all of the northeast here, and the moisture, it gets picked up gradually as the wind travels over the relatively warm waters of the Gulf Stream, and then you get these streams. That's really kind of fascinating to watch. I never get tired of that in the winter. Still have warm air flowing through the Great Lakes states and up into the northeast. You know, the Buffalo-Denver game, if it were one day later, it'd be snowing. But right now they're in southerly winds, so there's no lake effect snow possibilities there. Got a surge of moisture in the southeast. That's going to continue to rear its head over the next couple of days. System here in the western Great Lakes area and out west, generally pretty calm through almost all of the northwest. A weak system coming into the state of Washington that's connected to a much larger and deeper weather system, but that's way up in Alaska. Take a look at the 500 millibar flow here, and I show you this just to kind of give you a feel for the steering currents of the atmosphere. Still a pretty energetic flow, very strong winds here fueled by temperature differences. We have this one little trough of low pressure here moving through the upper Great Plains and Midwest. That's supporting a low pressure system that I'll show you here in a second, and another little system that's coming around the bend here. Now, normally I would look at that and go, well, that's going to be a snowmaker, but it's going to dive south and help to enhance those rains across the southeast. And again, I will show you what that looks like here in a few maps. Let's do a surface map tour here. We have a pretty obvious area of low pressure in northern Wisconsin, and it is not really technically a clipper system. Clipper systems usually kind of move out of the northwest or maybe out of the due west like this, like that, but this one is actually going to be moving, sorry about that, this one's actually going to be moving in this direction here. But warm front, cold front, actually the cold front's getting reinforced. It's cold behind this with the negative numbers here at 9 a.m. all throughout this portion of the world here. Most of South Dakota, North Dakota, into Minnesota. And this system, as I said, is going to continue to move off to the east, maybe slightly north of east. And we have winter weather advisories in effect because of that, from northern Wisconsin through much of the UP of Michigan here, and then a kind of a separate related weather system aloft that's causing some winter weather advisories around the Fargo area and portions of western and northwestern Minnesota. The lake effect snows are coming back. Here is the latest from the Buffalo National Weather Service. You're seeing 8 to 12 to 18 inch even snow totals possible along and just southeast of Buffalo, and that's pretty serious. And they've already had a pretty good lake effect snow season. Another little band there between Watertown and Oswego, and again kicking in. What the first ingredient you're looking for is winds that are blowing from some sort of westerly or northerly direction, and then if conditions are favorable otherwise, and they are obviously, you're going to get more lake effect snow in that part of the world. Let's go to our surface map review again. We're going to the southeast. Quiet for now, but that weather system is going to be producing some rain, is going to be moving in. So high pressure, cold, with temperatures here this morning all the way down into the 40s in central parts of Florida. That's the 9 a.m. map, so it is warming up a little bit, but still pretty chilly for them. And rain is breaking out in this part of the world here and will continue to spread. As a matter of fact, if we look at the precipitation forecast through Saturday, there's really, I counted 2, maybe 3 waves of rain that are really kind of collaborating, if you will, or adding up to give you this much totals. But we're looking at 2 to 3 inch rain totals from New Orleans back over to the panhandle of Florida, Pensacola, and Tallahassee. In that, much of Alabama is going to get a pretty good soaking, southern parts of Mississippi as well. Here's the map for the southwestern U.S. We have a pressure gradient that helps to define the Santa Ana winds, and that is actually still there, not as strong. It is a little gusty there still, but not horrible. It's going to get a little worse, I think. And again, firefighters just in general, while they're fighting the fire, they want calm conditions, as calm as possible. But this is still a Santa Ana wind pattern. So if winds are flowing from the northeast, coming off that high pressure down into that part of California, it gets channeled through various valleys, and the winds and the gusty nature of winds is just something they don't want to see. So there are still red flag warnings in effect for outdoor burning and high wind warnings in effect for areas surrounding and almost in the city of Los Angeles. So it's probably not a situation that's going to die down substantially anytime soon. Maybe this weekend, Weather Service forecasters out there looking for a change in wind direction and maybe even some light precipitation that would very much help that situation out there. And last but not least, not to be left out, there are some winter storm warnings and weather advisories in and around the Billings area through parts of Montana and even into northern parts of Wyoming. Snow cover across the U.S. 53% of the lower 48 covered in snow as of January 12th this morning. Pretty impressive. Notably absent is any snow really in Minnesota and Wisconsin. That may change here gradually over the next couple of weeks or so. As far as total seasonal snowfall, this is an accumulated map that Pivotal Weather does. And I think it starts in September and runs through the present. So if you see the first level of purple, which is kind of this area here, that's 6 inches, half foot of snow. Then the next level of purple is a foot, and we got a lot of that. And you can see the recent snowstorms have done that. Lake effect snows hitting hard there and in Michigan and the UP of Michigan, as they always do. And pretty good Rocky Mountain snows for all skiers. A great season for them so far, with more to come. So is there going to be another winter storm? Well, this is one of the pitfalls and caveats of looking at long-term forecasting. So there are two models that most forecasters look at, the GFS and the Euro model. So this is the precipitation and surface isobars that the GFS thinks are going to happen on Saturday morning. And you'll notice a low-pressure system here around Tulsa, and a pretty good area of snow. You might think to yourself, well, okay, that looks interesting. There is a push of colder air, I will say that. But if you switch models and look at the, I didn't label it correctly, but this is the Euro model for the exact same time frame, and the timing is way off. Now, the precipitation it's meaning to represent is along here, so it's a little bit faster. There's no low pressure development of discernible here. So again, when you start going out beyond 3-4 days, it starts to get a little dicey. The models diverge, and when models diverge, the confidence starts to go down a little bit as well. So we'll wait and see if there's another winter storm waiting in the wings from Missouri northeast up into probably Indiana and Michigan, if that were to pan out. Well, one way to look at temperature changes, fronts, progressions of air masses, to look at the temperature deviation from normal, or the anomaly. It's kind of an interesting way to look at it. So if I move this through, this is the GFS model, and we're just going to kind of go through here. And if you see alternating blues and pinks and reds, what that means is a nice progression of fronts. So you expect there to be, colder air behind weather systems, lows, and warmer air ahead. So if you look at this, we got that one low over southern Minnesota, warm air ahead of that, cold air in the southeast, more cold air in Canada. So if we move forward here, we kind of see another surge of cold air right there through the Dakotas, pretty much below the norms, and also through the Ohio River Valley. This is Monday night. And then we go through the middle of the week here. Here's Tuesday morning, getting into Wednesday morning about there. Very cold in the Ohio River Valley. But notice what's happening in southern Canada. Lots of red, and even to the next color on the scale. So a warming trend for the later part of the week that encompasses much of the country. This is ahead, though, of a scheduled pretty strong cold front. So if we take a look at this, it's still pretty warm through Friday here. This is early Saturday morning, but look right about here. That's a pretty strong cold front. The blues coming in behind that. A lot of massively below normal temperatures flooding into the north central, and eventually the eastern U.S. This is a week and a day from now, so this is valid on Monday. Again, as you start getting into the future, you start losing a little bit of confidence, but this has been showing up for a while, so that's why I like to show the anomalies. It doesn't give actual temperatures, but it does show what the trends are, and it looks like we're going to have a warming phase followed by a pretty solid blast of cold air after that. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you get a chance, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next edition of Weather to Watch.